Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's episode, I'm talking to Donna about the most recent MCU movie, Thunderbolts. But first, Donna is still out this week, so Violet Hammond is back to talk about new stuff from the last week. How's it going, Violet?
It's going good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting through the week.
Yeah.
So that's all we can
Well,
do sometimes, but yeah, I'm getting through
well, yeah. We were chatting off air about my week. So,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like for listeners, you're hearing the dulcet tunes of birdsong because I'm sitting outside with my new shelter dog who refuses to go inside the house. So, enjoy that, everyone.
Right. At least it's nice outside, so that makes it better. So,
It is true. It is true.
yeah.
Sitting here with my finger on the mute button just in case anything
Right,
crazy
just in
happens.
case.
But yeah. But here we are,
Nah.
everybody.
All
Oh,
right. Well, yeah, like I said, Donna's out again for another week. She should be back next week, from what she told me. But
yay.
for now, we have the lovely Miss Violet here to help us talk about things that came out this week and other such whatever we could find. It was kind of a slow week, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Luckily I did go see a couple of movies, so I can talk about those.
beautiful.
And let me go ahead and jump into that first one. On this last Tuesday, I went and saw Clown in a Cornfield, um,
Oh,
which is a
never
which
even
is a
heard of
horror
that.
movie. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
it's apparently based on a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first in a trilogy of
Huh.
uh, books about this town. Um, I can't remember where it's situated at. It's in the Midwest. It's in a corn town.
Clearly.
This big company had a mascot called Friendo the clown, and this new girl and her dad move into town. Her mom died, and so they move into town. He's the new town doctor, and things start to escalate. She makes friends with this group of kids, and then this group of kids starts getting attacked by Friendo the clown, and
Ooh.
it's pretty crazy. It's an interesting movie. Um, I it might not be up your alley because you don't love
You
horror
don't say.
movies, but I thought it was pretty good.
Is it an
I
independent film?
it's put out by Shudder. Um,
Oh,
so
okay. Okay.
yeah, so it should be eventually on the Shudder app
Cool.
eventually. It was directed by Eli Craig, who previously did Tucker and Dale versus Evil,
Oh,
which is
okay.
a
Yeah,
very
I've heard of that.
fun yeah, it's very fun horror comedy, one of my favorites. And it they it's not as comedic where Tucker and Dale versus Evil was a um what is it? What am I saying? It was more of a kind of like not a parody, but a loving ode to slashers and stuff. This one is more of a straight up slasher style
Got it.
movie.
Hmm.
But if it does well, which I hope it is, it might spawn eventual sequels based on the rest of the books in the book trilogy. So that would be
Okay.
interesting to see it kind of expand out. So
Yeah. Well, I am
so
famously scared of clowns, so this is a no for me.
so, so not only being a horror movie, but also
Not
being a
only it
horror
being
movie
a
with killer
movie,
clowns, yeah, it might be a
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
a horror movie with a killer clown. This is a no for me, as they would say on American Idol. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I mean I blame Poltergeist, but who knows? Like I am terrified.
It's
I've been
so funny
terrified of
too,
clowns
because
forever.
my daughter and I were talking about this, and she didn't, she was like, "Where did the fear of clowns come from?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, it had multiple origins. Like, it just depends, especially for Gen X.
Yeah,
It's like it's a Poltergeist was one, that stupid
it's
clown in that.
Poltergeist and John Wayne Gacy, of
Poltergeist,
course.
John
Yeah.
Wayne Gacy. I told her that, like John Wayne
Yep.
Gacy, also Pennywise the clown from the It
Oh
miniseries from
my
the
god.
90s.
Yes, Tim
Tim Curry
Curry.
just did a great job on that.
Ugh.
Um, which we'll come
Yeah.
back around to this in just a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we so I told her, I was like, it was multiple things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and that it just compounded on things, and plus just clowns in general have always been kind of this, they're meant to be funny and everything for kids, but like you just always felt there was something underneath it all
Yeah.
that just like made it creepy. And John Wayne Gacy really didn't help matters at all.
No,
So
that was
um
bad PR. That was
yeah.
bad PR right there
Well,
for clowns.
people don't understand how weird the 80s were in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like, because of John Wayne Gacy and all the stuff that happened in the late 70s, early 80s in terms of the major serial killers, um, and the stranger danger shit we went through.
Yeah.
Um, and
Milk
then it was just,
cartons and all that stuff.
yeah, milk
Yeah.
cartons and all of that stuff. It's just it's such a weird time to have grown up in, and this
Mm-hmm.
existential fear of being picked up on the side of the road by like a van or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's like it's pervasive to this day. Like people, we still talk about it, but it's like it doesn't happen that way as much as
No,
it
even then it
actually
didn't.
did back then. Well, it did, but it didn't at the same time. It was
Yeah.
weird.
No,
So
it was a
yeah,
weird thing because it was something that like we heard about and we'd get scared about, but it wasn't
yeah,
something that happened like every day.
yeah,
And us
exactly.
coming from that generation where we were the last ones who like especially in the summer like left the house on our bikes and we're like, well, we'll
Yeah.
see you when the street lights turn on. That was always the
Yeah,
rule.
that's what the most bizarre
Yeah.
thing about this whole thing was too,
I
is
don't
that
let my kids out of my
that was
sight.
that was the era of like the worst crimes, like the worst time to be a kid in terms of like people actually killing you, picking you
Mhm.
up, strangers actually grabbing you and doing this stuff. But yet our parents had no qualms about like, okay, we'll see you tonight,
Yeah.
and then we just were outdoors.
We just
Like
were outside.
our parents had no fear for us at all. And meanwhile, us being Gen X kids, we were like, we're never letting our kids out of our sight.
No.
What are you talking about? Which
Oh
then,
my god.
like some of us, not all of us, because I wasn't like that, some of us became helicopter parents, and went the
Oh,
reverse way, and we're like,
I
yeah,
am a
you were.
helicopter parent. Yes, I am. Oh, 100%. I still am.
Yeah.
My daughter lives 8 hours away from me
Oh,
for most of the year and I'm still like, "Oh my god, call me when you get home." Like I am
yeah.
crazy.
No.
I'm
I
crazy.
mean, here's the thing. We let our kids out, but they always had cell phones, and
Yeah.
so
I know we
we always
didn't.
could get, yeah, we didn't, but
That's why I'm like, "Oh
I
my
can always get a hold of them. And plus, it's my both my adult children live with me now. So I know
yeah.
where they're at. I've
You
got
know where they
like
are."
well, and that's the funny thing too, is like we've asked them, and they shared their locations with us, so I know where they're at on their phones at all time.
Mhm.
So it's like, I know if they're at work, and I told them, and this is the main reason for it. I need to know because they sometimes will come home late at night, like especially my son, because he's a manager and he closes and stuff like that. So he would come home at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, if something were to happen to you and you didn't come home, I need to know where your last location is
Yeah.
so that I can go out there and go make sure you're okay.
Right,
And so,
exactly.
it's just it's one of those things where, I thank God for cell phones. I'm telling you
Yeah.
right now, like the cell phone technology has made everything so much better. So
So much
anyway, we
better.
got off on a wild tangent, as we
See,
always
look,
do.
that's what I'm here for. I am here for tangents. I support the
Anyway,
tangent. Yes, anyway.
so what did you bring me this week?
Okay, so in order of things I have a trailer, which is a new trailer to something we talked about last week because I'm boring. And I have a TV show and I have some MCU news.
Okay, well, hit me with that trailer.
Hit you with the trailer. Well, what was really funny was that like maybe 2 days after we recorded news last
I
week,
think it
you
was only a
sent
day
me.
afterward,
It might have been
honestly.
the
It was
next day.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is so funny. It's always the way, isn't it? If
Yeah.
you try to do like a news segment on your podcast, the important stuff comes out the day after you record, always.
Right.
So I had talked last week about Jurassic World Rebirth, and it was the trailer that had been out for a couple of months. And then, yes, the very next day after we talked, the new trailer came out. This trailer is insane.
Yeah,
it definitely made me more excited to see the movie. Like I am
that's good.
it
Yeah,
looks like scary. Like it was, I'm not a big scary person, but I do love like
right.
Godzilla and like like I
Yeah,
do like as we talked about last week. These
yeah.
movies are kind of like a
They're
a
just giant
new
monster movies. Yeah,
yeah, a new giant monster movie. So like I love the first Jurassic Park. I love most of the other movies, but this one looks absolutely insane. The stuff I just love the water when it does. It looks like if Jaws was dinosaurs. It looks crazy.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
are there kids there? Who knows? It doesn't matter. Don't think about it. I'm sure they'll tell us. But
yeah.
I couldn't remember if last time they really got into the fact that they're there on the island, I guess, because they need some kind of DNA for what seems like a medicine or something. It seems like they're trying to,
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, if we bring this DNA back, we'll
it'll
save
save
millions of
millions of
lives or
people.
something like that.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, I guess that's a good reason to go into what seems like the
yeah,
absolute thunderdome of
yeah.
crazy
Like,
dinosaurs.
why would you even go back? Like, why does anybody keep going back to these stupid islands?
And
So, yeah,
yeah, and like the way they're talking, it's like this one is the craziest one. This is the one with
yeah.
like the
This is the
weird
one with
genetic
all the worst monsters.
experimentation and
Yeah,
the ones that were so bad they didn't want to take them off the island. So this is going to be insane. Like I said, I am ready. Beginning of July, I'm there with my popcorn. I need this movie. And it spawned
that's too
another
funny.
fun internet meme because everybody keeps talking about Jonathan Bailey and his little glasses because he's
Oh,
so
that's
cute.
so funny.
Yeah. Now there's a viral
It's
meme
apparently a
about
sign, apparently a side of the internet I'm not on.
no, you're not on this side of the internet, but yeah, it's the meme is something about being jealous of the dinosaurs who get to see him in his little glasses. So
Oh
his
my
slutty
God.
little glasses is actually the word, but
Good Lord.
yeah, yeah. Look, I speak
Uh,
for the girls and the gays, and the girls and the gays love Jonathan Bailey. This is where we are. The girls
yeah,
and the
there you
gays
go.
and the days are going to be in the movie theater ready to support our
The musical theater section of the internet is being
yes,
is
yes.
being
The
represented well.
look, the Bridgerton girls, the musical theater people, we're ready. We're here. We're there to support our king. Let's go.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, I did get to go see another movie last week. The release day for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning,
See,
which was
that's what I was
fantastic.
expecting the first thing, and then you came out with clown in a cornfield. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, oh, it has to be Mission Impossible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I dig the Mission Impossible movies. I'll admit, and I've probably said this before, I'm not the hugest Tom Cruise fan. I feel like most of the time he's playing a version of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And even in this, I think he's doing that too, but he has there's something about these movies, especially the last four or five. I
Mm-hmm.
know everybody loves the Brian De Palma version, but and I think that it's a good movie, but I think since J.J. Abrams on,
Yeah.
the story has felt more cohesive together.
And that was the third
Especially this
one.
the third one was J.J. Abrams, the fourth one was Brad Bird, and then the last four have been
Have
Christopher
been
McQuarrie.
this guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I haven't seen a single one since two. I
Well,
remember
I
seeing
think
two, and I know everybody
three,
hates two, but there's some people.
yeah,
Craig loves two, but that I mean,
yeah.
like,
Two is fine. It's the least it's the one that's not the best for sure. And it's so kind of over the top. It's a John Woo movie, and you have to
it's
know
John
going
Woo.
in,
There's
yeah,
slow
that
motion. There's doves.
John
It's
Woo,
yeah,
exactly. There's yeah,
yes.
he's very tropey, um, with his signature trademarks.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. It's fine. But J.J. Abrams came in next, did his J.J. Abrams stuff, very tropey.
Lens
Um,
flares.
lens flares, the mystery box MacGuffin,
Mm-hmm.
that nobody like. It was so funny too because they actually in the newest movie they actually explain the MacGuffin from his movie and like
That's
make it make
hilarious.
sense. Yeah, and so they actually tie. That's what's great about these last two movies is that they're very much um lore heavy for the whole
Mm-hmm.
series, and they bring people
Yeah.
back. They bring things back that were in earlier. installments of it, and so it's a lot of fun for that if you're a big fan of the series and you get, oh, this is interesting, this is, they brought this person back, they brought that person back, and so it's a lot of fun. It's definitely got an intense climax in it, that is just like you're kind of on the edge of your seat, just you know waiting
Yeah.
for it to like waiting for things to happen.
Oh, man.
And it's so if you dig the final the final the in
That was last
because it's
week.
Final Reckoning. Yeah,
But
well,
yeah,
it's Final Reckoning. That's why I was like,
Final
if you enjoy the
Reckoning.
Mission Impossible movies, you'll enjoy Final Reckoning, I think. And as much as this was kind of designed to be I think it was meant to be an end to the series. And to let because there really is no Mission Impossible series without Tom Cruise.
I
they
know.
they they tried to kind of bring Jeremy Renner in as like a possible replacement right around four, I think.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody's like, no, we don't want that.
Mm, mm-mm.
um and and so um but even Tom Cruise himself, I guess, has said that since seeing Harrison Ford play Indiana Jones again in the last one, he was like, well, I could keep doing this. Which is fine. Maybe the dude needs to stop
Sure.
doing all his own stunts.
That's what I said.
Um,
He's gonna die on a movie set one day.
yeah, he
He
will
he
if he
will
keeps
not
doing his own
if he
stunts.
keeps
Yeah,
this up. Yeah, he needs
yeah.
to like Harrison Ford's not doing that anymore.
No, Harrison
Like,
Ford. I will guarantee you, Harrison Ford is not doing any of his stunts.
yeah.
Not even one.
No,
Harrison
not
Ford
only is he
is at this
high as a
point.
kite all the time, he's also like a grandpa. Like, come on. He's not doing
He
this.
does seem high as a kite these days, doesn't he?
Oh,
He
he's
seems to
been
actually
high as a
just be
kite since
enjoying.
the 70s.
I wouldn't doubt it. Too funny. But
You
all
never heard
right.
that story? Talk about a tangent,
No,
but very quickly,
no.
yeah. I think his driver when they were doing, I think, Empire Strikes Back, like picked him up and he had a saucepan with like a lid on it that he brought into the car with him, and the driver was like, not to like be weird, but what's this about? And he said he couldn't find his bong, so he had it like in the saucepan, and he sat in the car with the yeah.
I can see
He has
Harrison
been
Ford being a
he is so
tremendous
high,
pothead.
but I love him and I'll love him
Oh
forever.
yeah.
But
No, absolutely.
first love all the way. But yeah, he is high as a kite. That's why I want to see the Red Hulk like motion capture footage.
Oh,
He was high and
he
just going crazy.
no, that's you can tell he's having a lot of fun. Like the fact that like, I think he just didn't care about Star Wars as much as like the fans do. And so he was just like, look, I'll do the one last one and then I'm done with that because Star Wars nerds are really, really freaking weird.
They
And
are weird.
so
He's done.
yeah, yeah.
He's been
And
done for
so
decades.
oh yeah, he didn't want to come back for those. And then but he's the one who approached Marvel. So,
Yeah, he
so
wanted to do it.
he obviously likes doing genre work. He just didn't want to do Star Wars anymore. And
Yep.
so he loved doing Indiana Jones. He was like, "Hey, let's do Marvel." And, that's great. I'm glad, he's potentially going to continue in that. I mean, we'll see. He's
We'll
kind of old.
see.
So, but yeah. All right. What's your next thing?
So my next thing is something that I know you don't really watch, but I do, and it pertains to not creepiness, to geekiness, the thing that I
Okay.
do, not the creepy part. So Doctor Who is going to have its season 2 and or
Okay.
season 15, depending on how you want to count it.
Yeah.
It's season 2 or season 15 finale this week, and it's been a really good season. And I wanted to mention it because I know that Doctor Who is one of those things where if you aren't watching it, it seems like it's this impossible barrier to get past, to get into it. But the best part about it is that I feel like it's more available than ever because it's on Disney Plus, and
Yeah.
the very nature of the show and having new companions and having the doctor explain things to his new companions means that anyone can jump on at any time. So really, if
Yeah.
anyone has been thinking this looks interesting, but I don't know if I can get all this lore, you don't need to know the lore. It's like the MCU. They will tell you everything you need to know. You can jump
Yes.
on a Disney Plus, last season I really liked, other people didn't like as much. This season I like, and other people think is phenomenal. So apparently they're doing something right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of chatter about how the series might be put on pause because it's the BBC, and Doctor Who's been around for 60 years, and they're never going to ever
Yeah.
cancel it, but they might put it on pause after this because the ratings are way down.
Ooh,
If you listen to if you listen to certain corners of the internet, it's because it went woke. But
of course.
yeah, of course, that's why, So, but
Yeah.
I think they've been putting out great work, and it's well worth a watch if you haven't looked at it. It's a good binge. You can watch it all on Disney Plus. The finale is this Saturday, and I've been loving Shudigatwa's take on the Doctor. He's been doing a great job.
I really, I was just looking it up while you were telling me that, and it's just the new stuff, the newest stuff that Disney Plus has. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do you know if they have? Do you know where the
The other New Who
Ninth Doctor
is on HBO Max.
Oh, okay, good.
So if you have Max, that's where I watched a lot of it.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say
season one
I would
through
suggest,
yeah.
yeah, I would suggest if you're interested in, like definitely check out the new one, first, probably to just kind of dip your toes into it.
Yes.
If you like that, I would go back and then watch, the Ninth Doctor up,
Yes.
because that's what I did. Like I didn't, because none of the previous stuff was available at the time I watched it. And so I watched ninth and 10th and like half of the 11th before
Yes.
they ended up taking it off Netflix at the time, and then it wasn't
Right.
available anywhere for a long time.
Yep.
Not anywhere where I could get it. And so that's what I would suggest, because personally, me, I've always Tennant, the 10th Doctor was my favorite. And so he's a huge fan favorite as well. Like he's
Yes.
one of the best ones, especially when him and Donna were together.
Yes,
that
exactly.
1 year, that one season that they were together, oh, perfection. They were like so good together.
And that's why when they were bringing it back and bringing it to Disney Plus, they had the two of them back for those 3 specials, because it was like, oh my God, they're back. Yeah, because they know that if you stop a random person on the street and be like, do you watch Doctor Who? And they say no, they'll probably still know that David Tennant was Doctor Who.
Right.
Like, he is such a recognizable face.
Because I mean, not only that, but like he's married to the daughter of one of the previous Doctor Who's
that they met on Doctor Who.
Yeah.
She was on the show.
She was an actress on the show.
She was an actress on the show. It's adorable.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he says. I always forget his name, her dad's name, but they said at one interview, they said, what's the best thing Doctor Who has given you? And his answer was grandchildren.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. Doctor Who season 2 or 15, if depending on your counting. It pops up both ways. As far as Disney Plus is concerned, this is season 2. But finale on Saturday.
That's crazy. Let's see. What is her name? I mean, she goes by Georgia Tennant now.
Georgia Tennant, yeah.
Yeah. She's the daughter of actor Peter Davison.
Yes.
Who was the
the
fifth Doctor.
Oh, it was close.
From 81 to 84. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, that's cool. Yeah, definitely. I would say definitely check out the newest series on Disney Plus. If you're interested in that, go back and watch some of the stuff, because like all of it that I saw was really good. The work that they did on the 9th and the 10th, and what I saw of the 11th was really good. I never got to see Peter Capaldi or what's her name, the 13th Doctor,
Whittaker.
So
Jodie Whittaker.
Jodie Whittaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was I heard that season was rough. And not because she was a woman, but it was because the writing was like
the writing wasn't good. She was a really good doctor.
Yeah.
But she was definitely done a disservice.
She was given not the greatest material. Yeah.
No. It was
So,
it's definitely a little disappointing, but she's a really
yeah,
good doctor. Now, Matt Smith
yeah.
was my favorite, which I was not expecting when I started watching, because up until that I had never liked Matt Smith and thought he was weird, and then he turned out to be my favorite doctor. So,
I mean, he is weird,
you never
but
know.
yeah.
Yeah, but he is my favorite doctor. Shooty was great. David Tennant is just in his own league. It's just so hard. I
Yeah,
feel like he is
yeah.
just so amazing that it's just difficult
Yeah,
to
I've
put him
anything I've
anywhere.
seen David Tennant in, he's been like, so good. It's really hard to put him in like a category with anybody else because he's just like
Yeah.
he's so good at what he does that it's like amazing. Like,
There's one special with both of them, and that is amazing. There's one
I
special with David Tennant and Matt Smith both playing the Doctor, and it's great.
I hesitate to recommend it because of the source of it, but Good Omens on Amazon Prime is really, really good. Him
Yep.
and
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheehan, they're so good together.
Yeah.
Um,
Good Omens is great.
yeah, Good Omens is great. The source author is terrible, but yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
material they made is great. So um but and again, of course, go check out the first season of Jessica Jones on Disney
Yeah.
Plus.
Oh God.
He's terrifying in that.
She's so
So
scary.
yeah. So
No.
all right. Well, next up, I have a trailer for a upcoming Max TV show. Well, it's going to be HBO Max again by the
Good.
time it comes out. Yeah. But this is for It Welcome to Derry, which is
Yeah.
what I mentioned earlier. We'd be coming back
Mm-hmm.
to. It's a new series set in the town of Derry, Stephen King's fictional town of Derry, that the Pennywise the Clown terrorized in the uh, latest two It movies. This one's
Mm-hmm.
actually produced and will be directed, like several of the episodes, by Andy Muschietti, who directed the It movies. So there's definitely some good stuff coming from that side of it. And basically, it's going to tie into exactly those two movies as well. Bill Skarsgård's back to play Pennywise.
Yeah,
So
he's such a weirdo.
but yeah, so he's back, and this first season is set in 1962, and apparently they're going to be doing the following seasons when if they get picked up, the idea is to do a series in the 1930s and then a series in
Mm,
the 19 teens, somewhere around there.
wow.
So yeah, so going backwards in time, telling the history of Pennywise and Derry. So
I mean,
so it's
that's really cool.
yeah,
I am
yeah.
terrified of that. But yeah, I read that book when I was probably when I shouldn't have read it. I was way too
Oh,
young to read it. And I saw
it's
Tim Curry. So
yeah.
yeah, I
No,
have not
there's
seen the new
it's
movies
interesting how many
because
people did read that book when they were too young to read that book. And yeah, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
I d- I honestly I've never even read the book.
the book
So
is
uh
it's
I
great.
do have it on audiobook. I do need to listen to it because apparently the audiobook is very good.
Mhm.
But it is like I get like one of his long, if not, I think it might be the longest. Like
Oh,
it's a 44-hour read.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It was like the paperback was like
yeah. Oh
was
yeah.
huge.
No,
Yeah.
it's insane. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm a big Stephen King fan. I like generally most of his stuff. I'm excited for that new one coming out this year called The Long Walk.
Mhm.
And there's also an adaptation of The Running Man that's also coming out by
Yes.
Edgar Wright that
Isn't
I'm
it
very
Glen Powell?
excited about. Glenn Powell, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
No, it's
Well,
this one I'm very very excited about because it's going to be uh, more in line with the actual book. The
yeah.
1980s Arnold Schwarzenegger version took a lot of liberties. I
Yes.
love that version of the Running Man, though. I adore that version of the Running Man, but I've always wanted to see one that adapted the book more close
Yeah.
and see like how that would come out. So I'm very excited for that. So, but
Cool.
anyway, but this is about It. Welcome to Derry. Check it out. Trailer is very cool. It's set in the 60s, I think 1962, and it's involves another bunch of kids being terrorized by Pennywise. So
All right. Well, have fun with that.
yeah, I know you won't be watching it.
Yep, I'm
It's
good.
probably why you're scared of horror stuff now is because you read that book when you
Because
were
I read
young.
that book. Oh, I feel like I read almost all of Stephen King's books at that age, at that like preteen, 12
Yeah.
to 14, 15. I remember going to the bookstore every month to get the new chapter of Green Mile.
Oh man,
Yeah.
love that.
I
I did
loved
the
how
same
we did
thing.
that. Yeah. Like first day,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm here. I need to know what happened. Like,
That
yeah,
was
I
one of the
have a,
coolest events ever is to like
yeah,
go and get those books when they were first coming out, the
when they
little
first
chap
came out.
books. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still
They
have
were
them
so good.
somewhere. All the
Yeah.
books, I have them
I
like
don't. I
tied
don't have mine.
together.
I wish I
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Like I
very
have a
cool.
great deal of respect for Stephen King. I think he's an amazing
Oh yeah.
storyteller. It just that is scary. So I will not be watching that.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. All right. Well, what else do you have for me?
Well, the last thing might be something that you want to talk about too. So that's why I have it,
Okay.
and it's we have some MCU news this week. God, say that
Okay.
3 times fast. Good lord. We have delays on Doomsday
Yes.
and Secret
Yeah.
Wars. So Doomsday will be December 18th, 2026 instead of May 1st. So
Yes.
that's wild. And then Secret Wars is moving to December 17th, 2027
Right.
after being May 2027. So,
I think I think there's a couple of reasons for this. Number one
mhm,
being that they need more time to make the movie. They're
which is
probably
fine.
yeah, absolutely. And then number two, their movies do well in the later months. In the winter months, they seem to do a lot better in like the November, December time frame. Because I'm pretty sure that's around the time Endgame and stuff like that came out. I could be wrong. Um, but a lot of their movies that do well come out during that time period, during the holiday season. And so I don't have a problem with that. I know there's a lot of people making the joke, apparently, that uh, Doomsday and the next chapter in the Dune saga are apparently coming out on the same day. So they're calling it Doomsday. And it's
Yeah,
like,
I saw
okay,
that.
just stop. Because I'll tell you right now, Dune will move. Warner Brothers is gonna blink on that. They will not keep it on the same day. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
guarantee you, they won't put two blockbusters up against each other like that. And because Marvel moved, they know Marvel will get that money. So
Yeah. I mean, I hope. Fingers crossed. Yeah, the news came out also this week that Thunderbolts is officially the second lowest grossing MCU film, which is a real
that's a
shame.
big surprise
It's a big surprise.
because
Yeah.
the word
It
of mouth on that seemed to be good. I think it's possible the new Avengers jump on the marketing may have hurt
yeah.
them.
I think that
Um,
it did.
I think that
That was a really strange move to
it
pull
was a
after one
strange move.
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really strange because then you didn't have because people couldn't sit there and go, hey, you really need to go see this movie. There's a very important thing that happens at the
Yep.
end of it. And because they jumped the gun on that marketing and said, look, it's new Avengers,
Yeah.
that it kind of ruined anybody going, oh, okay, yeah, I want to go see that.
Yes.
Um, that's
It's a
interesting.
shame.
But I still think it was still I still would have thought that people would have gone and checked that out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Donna and I are talking more about this in
Yeah.
the rest of this episode.
Yeah.
So please stay
Which
tuned
I
for
thought
that.
was interesting. Yes. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
So, but yeah, there's no spoilers. Like, unfortunately, there's no spoilers because literally they revealed
They
that, like,
they had like
literally
a
in the
big
marketing
yes.
the next, like after that first weekend.
Did like a
So
whole big
that,
thing with Florence Pugh
yeah.
tearring the bottom off the poster. So it
Yeah,
said the new Avengers
it's such a bizarre thing.
like
Yeah.
give it some time. Give people time to
Yeah.
go see it. Not everybody can see it the first weekend. You know, it
Yeah,
just
I didn't
seems
understand that.
weird.
Yeah.
this coming from the studio that used to tell us Thanos demands our silence, and then like after the first weekend, you're like, "Hey, guess what? Here's the big reveal. Come see our movie,
I'm
maybe?"
wondering
Question
how
mark.
much of this is Disney just trying to do damage control and they're just not realizing, because this doesn't feel like a Feige decision.
He wouldn't.
Um,
It does seem weird.
like it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just there's so many bizarre things that are going on with Marvel that you got to wonder how much of it is Disney just kind of like asserting some kind of extra like pressure to do
Mm-hmm.
stuff because they're like, and then it backfires and then they end up not doing as well. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah,
it
that's
will be
disappointing because the
known
movie
it
is
is.
so good that
It's
it
good.
really is like it should have been doing a lot better than it was.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's
but
and they're
again,
pulling
I
it
say the same
out.
thing about the lowest one, the Marvels, which should have done a lot better as well. So,
Yeah, but there's other reasons why that one didn't
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Yeah, that
misogyny.
yeah, well, that's that ding ding ding. So
Yeah,
that yeah, there it's very strange. I think they pulled it. They got nervous with the other big movies coming out and they pulled it from theaters too soon. They're going to throw it on Disney Plus. It is a critical success, but
yeah.
not financially, which
It'll
is
find
really
its audience for
disappointing.
sure. I think it'll be one of those ones that people will see immediately once it hits Disney
Yes.
Plus. People will see it and they'll go, "Oh my God, we really should have gone and seen this in the theater."
Mhm.
And you'll start to see a lot because I haven't heard anybody talk negatively about this. It's
No.
one thing, like I have heard people talk negatively about the Marvels that aren't misogynistic. Um, but like they say they have they have some somewhat valid criticisms. I will give them that. When they do have valid criticisms, I give them that thing. I do think some people are a little bit too critical of the Marvels,
Yeah.
but I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about Thunderbolts, and so
No.
that's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, in
just
our circles, it's pretty universally liked, at least.
yeah,
Maybe not loved, but liked for sure.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
a good movie. It's a return to form. I wish it had
yeah,
had a bigger audience for sure. It would have been
yeah,
nice, but I'm sure
absolutely,
people will see it on Disney Plus and will lead it.
yeah.
These characters will lead into our next couple of movies, which now we have to wait a little bit longer for, but I am okay with that as
Yes.
long as it is made the way the artists want to make it. The reason why
Yeah.
Thunderbolts is so good is because I think the people who were making it were allowed to make their movie to a certain
Right. Well,
and to
and
a certain extent.
Feige and all that. I think there was a level of trust, but also a level of this movie is they didn't feel like I think that Captain America Brave New World went through so many reshoots and everything else because they were
Yeah.
nervous about
Yep.
what that movie was going to do specifically, what it meant to have a
Mhm.
new Captain America, whereas
Yep.
Thunderbolts is a bunch of the misfits. And so they
Yeah.
were just like, let's just, we don't care. Let's just let them do their thing. We'll hopefully this will work out the way we want it to, and blah blah blah.
And it turned
And
out great.
then and it turned out great. And then
Yeah.
they undercut it by releasing the spoiler like publicly the weekend after,
Yeah.
after the first weekend. So it's just yeah, unfortunate. All
Yeah.
right.
But
Well, I got one
that's a
last
good
thing. Oh no, go
amuse
ahead.
bouche
Yeah,
for your
yeah.
episode today.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got one more thing, unrelated. And that's a new trailer for Predator, Killer of Killers came out this last week.
Uh-huh.
That's the new animated series coming to Hulu,
Oh,
and
right.
Disney and Hulu on Disney
Mhm.
Plus. So this one very violent, very definitely R-rated, which I love. But it's uh, uh, a series of it looks like different time periods. Looks like um World War One, maybe
Mhm.
feudal Japan and Viking era,
Yeah.
and predators coming to Earth during those times to hunt humans, and the humans fighting back.
Of course.
And so it's definitely looks like a really good fun series. Um, Dan Trachtenberg, who did Prey and is doing the upcoming Badlands movie. Um, is involved as an executive producer on it. So it should be really good. Um,
Awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm
I loved
excited for that
Prey.
show. Yeah, Prey was so good.
Prey was so good.
Um, so I can't wait for these new projects to pop up. It's like finally, I
Yes.
love Predator stuff, so it's like I'm excited for that. I'm a Predator guy. I like aliens, yeah. Predator,
Yeah.
yeah. So
You're
I'm
getting
like,
fed.
yes, yes. Finally getting some extra Predator goodies. I'm glad Prey did well enough to like get them to, recognize that they needed to do some stuff. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no,
Awesome.
excited, very excited. So, but that's all I have.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the rest of the show with Donna, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
Sure. Best place is my Linktree. It's linktr.ee/violet.h.310. 310 for Bucky Barnes' birthday. And on there, you can see all of the links to the podcasts that I guest on. And also soon, June-ish, Three Circles is coming out on Film Stories
Yeah.
Network. That is the Disney podcast hosted by me and Jeff Owen, which you will feature on many times.
I will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
many, many times. And I'm also a co host on Movieversaries, also on Film Stories Podcast Network, where we celebrate and sometimes reevaluate movies on their significant anniversaries. This year, the feature is obviously movies that were released in years ending in 5. It's a
All
mouthful.
right.
Every time I'm like,
Well, I appreciate you coming on and subbing in for Donna for these last 2 weeks, and being on the show in general. I know
yeah,
you'll be on
thanks.
in just a few weeks to talk on another episode,
Yes.
which we'll be talking about soon.
Yes,
Uh,
super
but
soon.
yeah, but until then, stay creepy. On today's episode, we're talking about the most current MCU movie, Thunderbolts. Joining me for this episode is my great friend Donna from the Donna Tha Dead podcast. Welcome to the show, Donna. That's a lot of Donna in
Thank
that.
you. I know it's a lot of Donna, but
A
that's
lot of Donna.
okay. There's a lot of me to go around, Robert.
There you go. There you go.
Don't worry about it.
Gotta
I'm a whole lot of woman.
gotta share the Donna.
Hey, I'm fine with that. I'm good with it.
There you go.
So
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say.
Jinx.
So we're here to talk about the newest. I'm basically caught up on my MCU coverage with this episode, which is great. I've been trying to get caught up. I just did a couple other episodes on Captain America, Brave New World, and Daredevil: Born Again. So, and this is it, Thunderbolts. We're finally caught up just in time before Fantastic Four hits.
Oof.
So this is really, really, really nice for me. I can't believe it. Plus, I get to record this not too long afterward. So I mean, this just literally came out at the beginning of this month on May 1st, and this episode is dropping today on what is it? May 28th. So it's like less than a month later, and I actually have the episode out and everything. But just to let everybody know, this is going to be spoiler filled. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, please watch the movie first before you listen to this episode.
And then come back and listen because you're
And
gonna
then
want to
come
hear
back and
this.
listen. Yeah, because you got to listen to all of our little tidbits that we're going to talk about, all the things we liked, all the things we didn't like. So, which there wasn't a lot that I didn't like.
Yeah,
I have
me
a few.
either.
I have a few minor quibbles.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll
Oh,
definitely be getting into that. But overall, what did you think of this movie?
overall, I had a ball with this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was so much fun. It's nice to see misfits playing nicely
Yes.
together.
I think
There's
that's.
just,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think that's probably my favorite thing is when a group of people who don't have anybody and shouldn't play in the sandbox get together and actually play nicely together.
Right. Yeah, I think that's, it's very reminiscent of like a Guardians of the Galaxy and a Suicide Squad. It's very much
Hmm.
in James Gunn's arena.
Right.
Um, and I know a lot of people compared Thunderbolts to Suicide Squad
Oh, yes.
because there was, don't get me wrong, there was a time where the Thunderbolts was literally a carbon copy of
Hmm.
Suicide Squad, a government-run team that was basically made of criminals. But the original conception of Thunderbolts was not that. And the big longest run, or not longest, but the most popular run of it, the original run, was not based in that concept of a of a team made of villains who were like um trying to get their prison sentences reduced.
Right.
Um So it was a team made of villains, but they were pretending to be heroes. That was the original conception of it. So, but that's not this, and that's what I like about it too, is that they took a concept and kind of rolled with it, went into a different thing. I love, excuse me, I love that the Thunderbolts name has that asterisk because it's a very
Hmm.
important asterisk throughout the whole movie. So. Um, it's I don't know. It's what for me. I really enjoyed the Black Widow movie, and being able to see Yelena and Alexei again together, and like joining up with all these other various people that have popped up
Hmm.
over the years. It was a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun to watch them all come together and to figure it out. So
Yeah, Yelena and Alexei, it was super nice to see them together. And then also for him to realize that, she wasn't her normal, snarky, quirky self, that there
right,
was
he
something
recognized
wrong.
right away. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think, that plays heavily into him being Russian. He even quips, well, we're Russian, but we're not that dark,
yeah, yeah. There's a he says something to that effect. He's like, That's dark even for Eastern European standards,"
Right.
and it's like, damn, that's like it's
But
like
then that
that's
just it's a true testament to the how much, she is very much his daughter in that
oh
sense.
yeah,
He can see that there is something wrong. And I
yeah,
love the fact that he's like every dad. He's bumbling, he's embarrassing, he does all
yeah,
of these things, but he knows his daughter. He knows, that there is something there, and she is putting up the shield to keep everybody out.
right,
Um, but this is a clear case of you don't have to see all of the movies and all of the shows because they pretty
absolutely,
much give
yeah,
you every backstory that you need.
yeah,
Um, all of these characters are wonderful in their own, and they all have baggage, and they all bring it with them. And it's apparent that they needed this support group, so to speak.
yeah,
And the way they interact with each other, it feels almost like siblings. I feel like they
oh
they might as
yeah,
well could have been siblings at this point, which is clearly something Elena needed as well. But it's a lot of fun, a lot of duplicitousness. I couldn't get that word out. From Val, who I love
yes,
seeing her again. We always need that sly asshole person in Marvel. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
somebody you just want to punch him in the face. And she does such a great job in this role because she wanted. We're doing spoilers, right?
yes, absolutely,
Okay. So she wanted these people out, these people that she actually, gave assignments to, gave them work so that they could take out the opposition that, were in her way. And then she decides she no longer needs them, which is
right,
the worst thing that you could possibly do, is to put all of these people together who are strong in their own right, who have like really deadly skills.
right.
You really want to put these people together in a room and have them now realize that they have to come against you now because you tried to take them out? It's crazy.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting too because it's like, because she was doing it to save her skin. People were finding out about her, like all her double dealings and
Color
everything like that.
covert shit. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what brings Bucky to it. And excuse me. And then we have and if it weren't for her bringing them all together, then they wouldn't have found Bob.
Exactly.
And Bob wouldn't have become both a good and a bad thing, literally. But it's so it's like it's funny too, because if she hadn't tried to get rid of them or hadn't tried to get rid of them in that way, Bob would have never been discovered.
Exactly.
So it's a you know, it's an interesting like so ultimately the most interesting thing about this movie isn't even all about this. It's about that this is kind of a meditation on depression. Everybody in this movie has some kind of it's something they're ashamed of,
Right.
because that's what ends up coming into it later on in the movie. But everybody's ashamed for one thing or another, but they also are suffering from this ennui, this depression in their lives, that's stopping them from becoming more or stopping them from being happy. And that's what I think made the movie more interesting, was about how that this found family, that this camaraderie between them actually lightened them and made them whole in ways that they didn't realize they needed.
I think that's one thing that I've always really loved about Marvel, because it's like, even though these people
Yes.
have exceptional skills, they're strong people, they do all of these phenomenal things, they are still human, they have flaws, they have depression, they have guilt, they have grief, all of these things. And like you said, they have all of these things that they're ashamed of. We
Yeah.
see U.S. agent and his flashback with his family and the way he was with them because he was so caught up in his own shit, which you kind of can't blame him. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody sees you in the world with blood on the shield, and you're like, how can I go from this point?
Right.
Yelena is dealing with having lost her sister and knowing that she killed so many people in her days as an assassin,
Right.
even after
And that
she
she's still being like still doing it
still
even
doing it.
for
Yes.
somebody else. Yeah. So
Yes. So, and then, we also get to see Bob, who had one of the most brutal upbringings. And I mean, and
yeah.
it's sad to say, but a lot of people have that
Hmm.
upbringing. They just don't happen to have superpowers
Yeah.
on top of that. It's weird. But I love these type of Marvel movies and shows. I think Legion and Bob go hand in hand. It's the
Mm.
same type of, you have this childhood trauma and you have this emotional damage, and then you also have God level powers. Like,
Yeah.
how do you handle something like that? It's hard enough when you're just a human dealing with emotional trauma and scars and baggage, but to throw, you know, a mega level mutant powers on top of that,
Right.
that's not a nice thing to have.
No, not at all.
But what I also love is that with this one, like you just said, everybody has something. Literally every single person has something that they are dealing with and going through. And they realize that they can become more by doing the opposite of what they've been doing. Instead of hurting people, they can save people. And I thought that was a beautiful come together Avengers moment that we see in this film, when there's destruction in New York and things are happening. And by the way, I'm just going to interject real quick because I
Hmm.
like to digress. Why are people still living in New York? Every fucking bad thing that happens is in New York. I would
Right.
never live there.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just ridiculous. Everything happens there.
No, people talk about that all the time, especially in the comic books. They're like, why would anybody live in New York City at this point with, with some kind of mega level like event happening like all the time? And, uh, they're like, why? Why would you ever like, we're going to see that in Fantastic Four. Galactus is there. Like, why would you ever live in New York City when all that stuff is going on? But yeah, no, that's hilarious.
I mean, unless I have a prorated rent of like
But it's not though.
750,
Like rent is still
it's not.
expensive there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck all of that. I mean, once again, if we're being realistic about an unrealistic situation,
Yeah.
all of the superhero shit would happen everywhere, all over the world. It's like saying, why do people live in Metropolis? I mean,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
you got to live somewhere. I get it,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but
Like this
as
would
for
not all be happening in New York all the time. It'd be happening
no,
in like I'm sorry, but like stuff would be happening in Atlanta and San Francisco
yeah,
and in Chicago and stuff like that all the time. Like things would be and in small towns around the world. Like not everybody with superpowers is going to suddenly go to New York for some
hell
reason.
no, they're going to stay in their small town where they can rule. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Right.
But this is my favorite thing. I know some people are Marvel, some people are DC. I like them
Oh,
both, but
I'm a Mark.
Marvel outweighs it
Yeah.
heavily because they've encountered mental health issues in
Yes.
almost every character. Tony Stark has PTSD. He goes and ends up being an alcoholic in the comics,
Hmm.
and we see Wanda in WandaVision, she's going through the stages of grief and there are so many characters that I love that they do this because it
Hmm.
shows you that even superheroes have issues. Even people
Yep.
who can do these things have issues. So if you have issues, by all means get help because these people surely should have. They should have
Yeah.
seen a therapist at some point.
I mean, the
But they
Hulk is literally suppressed rage from
suppressed
childhood
rage.
abuse, childhood,
Yes.
parental abuse. So, like, that is literally a manifestation of suppressed rage. So,
I
yeah,
mean, the only way that Wanda could deal with losing vision was to create a
a
reality.
whole new, like, yeah, reality. Yeah.
It's astonishing. Not to mention, Thor in Endgame, he's eating and
Mm,
drinking away
yeah.
his sorrow and his depression. He's just force feeding himself and
No, and
turning into
again,
this.
this is what I love about Marvel. This is something that is indicative that comes from the comic books themselves, that they made Marvel such a real world that you could identify with the characters. They gave them real world
Mhm,
problems so that when they rise above those to also become heroes, that it felt more monumental. This is the
mhm,
problem that I've had with DC. Like DC tries to do that, and I don't know. And sometimes they do. Don't get me wrong. But like I don't know. Their characters always feel too godlike. And that's and even with the movies, like the movies just have never been able to pull that off as well.
mm-mm.
Rarely anyway. Let's see how the James Gunn universe goes. But I just feel like, there's Marvel has always had this more naturalistic
Mhm,
worldview to it that lends itself, and I think that's why it has worked so well, is because it just, because I mean that's what's phase 4 of the MCU was largely about grief, about
yeah,
losing everything we had. Even after we got it back, we still need to deal with the ramifications of the blip, of losing Tony and Cap
mhm,
and everybody else. That there's I love that. I love that that's something that you see consistently throughout the MCU, are these real world feelings. Captain America Brave New World, like Falcon still feels, as much as he's doing, like, being Captain America now, he still feels inadequate at times.
mhm,
And I love that. I love that, finding the way through that and everything. And with this movie specifically, they find strength through each other. They
mhm.
realize that, to as dysfunctional as they all are, because they're still dysfunctional at the end, but
Yes,
at the same time, though, they find strength in each other. They realize that leaning on someone else you can trust is better than not having somebody. And I think that's really, the message that comes out of this movie. It's not, anything else, regarding, who the villain is and whatever else. It's about that. That's what this
yes.
movie's about. Is It's about depression, and it's about finding strength through others. So, finding like not putting all that onto somebody, but finding strength by helping others. You know what I
And
mean? It's
knowing
like,
that you're not alone. You're not
yeah,
alone. You're not the only person that's dealing with the weight
exactly.
of what's going
Yeah,
on inside of you. And it doesn't hurt to let it out and let people know exactly what's going on. One
right.
of my favorite things to tell people, and my husband is guilty of it because in our marriage I'm allegedly the adult. That's what
Yeah,
he that's what he
my wife
thinks.
is allegedly adult as well.
That's what
So
he thinks, but, I always make a practice of telling him, "Don't assume that just because I on surface level, I'm the adult and I seem to be the strong one. Don't
yeah,
assume that I'm not struggling because I may not
exactly.
ask you for help." So, when you tell people, "Yeah, my wife's the strong one," or "My wife," don't say that because you don't know that. You have to realize that the people that are on the surface level, you think that they're the strong person and they're put together. Trust me, they are fighting something. Everybody has something that they're unhappy with or that they're sad about or that they regret or that, they're unhappy. And I cannot tell you the number of times that reading these types of characters has made me feel so much better about something that may have been troubling me way back when I was a teenager and I had to learn to let shit go. So seeing this character of Bob, who ends up being Sentry, and we find that out in a very funny way in this movie, um, and then seeing the Void, which is such a brilliant
Hmm.
name for this entity because that's what it feels like when you're in those
Yeah.
moments. I could not tell you how great it was to see Sentry in that suit and then to have him comment about the blonde hair.
Yeah.
And Valentina is diabolical in this
She
movie.
is.
Like, but then we also get to see when anybody touches Bob, then they get to see that part of themselves that they thought that they hid deep down.
Yeah, the
And when
shame.
we
Yeah.
and when we see Valentina's, it kind of puts her in a different perspective, not a likable one, but it
Yeah.
does put her in a different perspective that even her, I mean, we know she's done dirty things. We know she's done some despicable, evil things, but to see that it goes back to her childhood was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, that's something I don't even know how you can come back from that. And clearly she hasn't because it's still
Yeah.
there. Um, and I don't mean to sound like a self-help guru, but that's exactly what this whole overall theme. We have lots of great action scenes. We have lots of funny action scenes. We have a lot of scenes of them talking about their weapons and what they do. And you
Right.
know, it's a funny ride, but it's the ride we needed to get them to be a cohesive unit and to be
Yeah.
this team. Even when Alexei comes up and he's driving in the desert and he's got his limo, and they have like the whole shootout and then Pony comes on in the back of the limo and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This movie was a riot, but it was so touching and it was filled with a lot of heart. That's that's
Yeah.
that's for sure. But I mean, that's a lot of Marvel movies, but this one really kind of pulls at your heartstrings. I will definitely say that much.
Yeah.
And Yelena is definitely the anchor of this group
Oh,
because
absolutely.
when she sees herself in this void and seeing what she's been doing, which is just drinking herself and trying to numb herself with everything but what she needs to face. I don't know. It was a touching excuse me, it was a touching scene. What is up with us today? We're coughing. I just
we're
realized that
get
I'm like
we're
coughing.
getting choked up is what it is.
Oh, not
No.
me. I don't have feelings. I don't know what that is. I joke to my husband all the time. I don't have feelings. You have feelings?
Well,
Um,
no, like for me, like this movie, there's a moment where they are struggling against the void. Because Bob has turned into the void. Bob has let his insecurities
mhm.
and his own shame transform him from being the sentry into the void. And because of that, now they feel like they can't win. He's too powerful. They've all gotten their butts kicked by the Sentry, and now he's become the Void, and now he's like what looks like he's literally like killing people, turning them into shadows on the ground,
Mhm.
or on the walls or whatever like that. Basically, just kind of blanking people out. of existence. And then she's breaking down. She's like, I can't do anything. Like, this is, I don't know what to do. And Alexi's there and he's like, no, you can, and then she's like, where were you this whole time? Like, why weren't you there for me? And he was struggling too. He was struggling to find his place in the world. And they should have come together as a father and
Right.
daughter. But they both had their own issues and they both didn't know how to do it because they're not truly father and daughter. So there's that, like, there's and because he let her go real young, for the country. You have to watch Black Widow for people who haven't seen Black Widow. You have to, their history is explained in detail in
Hmm.
Black Widow. Um, but so I mean, you get enough of it in this movie. Don't get me wrong. You'll understand plenty through this movie. I'm just explaining it badly. But
You're
they,
doing a good job. Stop it.
but that moment was like emotional because it's like, she's talking about her mistakes and he's like, I don't see your mistakes. I only see your good things. And that was such a good dad thing to say. And I literally, because Katrina and I were watching it,
Right.
and I literally turned to her and I was like, I only see your good things too. And we held hands for a moment, and it just felt like that kind of moment there too, because that's most, okay, not most parents, but good parents
Hmm.
only see the good, not doesn't only see the good in you, but understands that the good outweighs the bad, and will always be there for you in your bad moments as well. And we're not going to use those bad moments against you.
Against you. Exactly.
And that's what Alexi is saying, is he's saying that he's there for her and that he wants to be a better dad to her, because he hasn't been for the last 20, 30 years for her. And he wants to be there for her now. And in that moment, she realizes, that's a good thing, and that helps her kind of, okay, I'm ready to take this on. And so, I just, like, that was that, and the moment where they all come together to, inside the void, inside the darkness, they all come together and, bring Bob back from being the
Hmm.
void. That was like, those were like the two big emotional moments, I feel like, um that like hit me really big.
Yeah.
Like I was on the verge of tears in that last moment where they're all like coming together to hold on to him, and
Holding him. Yes.
yeah, and bringing him back, from the void. And it was just like, oh man, this is like, so emotional, so very deep and heartfelt. And it's just like, yeah, I was definitely on the verge of tears, during that
Yeah. I
moment.
mean, it's hard not to be because I mean he was fighting his hardest against the void, but that's exactly what the void wanted. He was
Right.
so angry it wanted to fully consume him, and there would be no turning back. And once again, this is one of those things. If you need help, you don't need to spiral to the point where you can't come out of the depths. And even if you get to the depths, you can come out of it.
Right.
You have to have that support group. You got to know that you're
Yeah.
not alone. The coming together moment, like you said, was such a great scene. Just to see that they were risking everything. They were
Yeah.
literally pinned to walls and
Yeah.
fighting against that to come and bring him back into where he was. So um, this was, like I said, it was a lot of fun, but it had a big shining light on mental health and
Yeah.
what people need to you need to ask for the help. You need to reach out.
Well, not
Um,
only that, but we need to recognize it in each other. I think that was more it than anything else, because it's
mhm,
hard. It's hard when you're in that depression to
to see it.
ask for that help and to see it. Yeah, to even see it. Because I know that there was a time where I got really depressed. I didn't see that I needed help. And it wasn't, if it weren't for my wife saying, "Hey, something's going on. You need to really get some help." Um, and I finally did, and it was great because, like, at first I kind of resisted it because I'm like, I'm not depressed. What are you talking about? because I was angry more than like
Hmm.
sad, and so I didn't recognize that as depression. And so it was. I think that's the thing is like if you recognize that somebody in your life is having an issue, like reach out to them. That might not work. Like I said, with me, I didn't
Hmm.
recognize it. I needed to eventually recognize it in myself as well. So, but I was glad that my family stuck through me or stuck through it for me. Um, because of that, if I hadn't had them there, it might have gotten worse.
Right.
And if they had just written me off, then that's the thing. I think that you just need people there, and try to reach out if you can, but sometimes you don't recognize it.
Sometimes you don't recollect, you're right.
Yeah,
Because when you're angry, you're not thinking you're depressed, you're just angry.
yeah,
And that
exactly,
depression is in a lot of different forms.
exactly.
Um, One thing that struck me about this movie is when we see Elena at the beginning and she's at the top of this building. And of course, we're not thinking she's suicidal, and
Yeah,
at least I wasn't in my head, even though she was saying that there was an emptiness, there's something wrong with her. I wasn't thinking she was doing anything to herself. I was thinking, oh, okay, she's just on another mission, but she's tired of
right,
doing it. But
right.
there's nothing to say that she couldn't have done something like that because she was so heavily depressed about everything that was
Yeah,
going on around her. I thought it was very clever that they also said at the beginning, the very first lines, she said that there was a void. And then that's
yeah,
exactly what we get later on in the movie. And to see all of these people in their own kind of baggage situations, and we get all of them in this one location, not knowing that Bob is even there, and even Bob
all
doesn't
right,
know why he's there. I loved how they gave us the whole story about him going through that depression and then ending up being on meth and then going through the trials, and then of course he's the one person that it worked for.
right,
It's like the worst person that you could possibly
right.
have, but you know he he still was trying to process everything that was going on. Like when they woke him up out of the little case that he was in, he didn't even know how the hell he got there. Like
Right.
it this the whole concept of Bob was so funny to me because we would see him on the trailers and obviously you knew who he was and I knew who he was, but a
Yeah.
lot of people didn't. So there it was kind of like what? Um but just the idea of, can you imagine having to go through all of the things this person went through, and then Valentina's trying to make him be a puppet to be the new
Yeah.
superhero that everybody needs so that she doesn't get impeached. That's basically the
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
reason that this guy exists, is so that she can say, this is what I was working on when I was doing all of these backdoor deals to make a superhero because the Avengers are no
Yeah.
more. Like, bitch, please, are you serious
Yeah.
right now? You found the person with the worst backstory, the worst history, and you doped them up, and you were hoping that he would be just a normal Joe. Did y'all not read the dossier and the file on this guy? Maybe
Right.
he's not a good candidate. Even Captain America had to be a pure person. He had to have a
Right.
pure heart before they shot him
Yeah,
up with
because we
it.
see what happens when every
When
other
you
person's
don't.
been given the super soldier serum. Like, it's Alexi, Bucky, John Walker,
Yeah, this isn't
everybody.
your first rodeo, ma'am. You should have already known this is not going to be a good look for anybody if this guy it becomes what he becomes.
Yeah.
Um, I
Human experimentation in the Marvel universe is really kind of like not great. Like,
no, not at all.
we've
But
had way too many incidences of bad things happening. So,
we always make fun of it too, especially with the boys. It's like the same thing with Voight. If y'all have watched the boys, it's like you made the superhuman, but you didn't take any time to nurture him or
yeah.
you just made a super psycho. Good luck with
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Like, there's no
No.
stopping that. It's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Maybe research a little bit better, or
Yeah.
maybe start younger. Maybe start with a younger
Yeah.
person that you can actually mold to be a nice person, before you start just
Yeah.
shooting people up with all kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Or
Just,
get
I'm
somebody
sorry.
who's already a good person. Yeah. Like Steve
Yes,
was.
think
So,
about it. Maybe. I mean, geez,
I
you
mean,
gotta
but
wait
that's,
3 days to
that's,
get a gun. Maybe do some Research. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Just my little
Do some
tangent.
research. Yeah. You would think these were scientists, but they're not doing any research. Um,
Oh my God.
but no, I agree with you on that one. I will say, let me get into one of the negatives of this movie.
Okay.
So, the main big negative that I have with this movie is Taskmaster.
Oh, that's
Um,
my biggest one.
yeah. So here's the thing. Number one, I didn't like how the character was originally portrayed in uh, Black Widow.
Black Widow.
I already
Hmm.
have a problem with that one. I didn't care about the gender switch. I'm perfectly fine with her being a woman. That was perfectly fine. But the character of Taskmaster in the comic books is this really cool villain who has what's called photographic reflexes. He basically can see somebody do something, and within the limits of his physical capabilities he can copy it. So he can literally watch footage of Captain America throwing a shield and knows exactly how to throw a shield,
Hmm.
as well. Same with using a bow and arrow just like Hawkeye would. He can fight like Black Widow, all this stuff, he can do, and then has weapons and things in his suit that allow him to mimic those abilities.
Right.
And um, so that's what's great. They didn't do it was similar in the movie, in Black Widow, but they were uploading the footage and basically saying that it was being uploaded to her mind and everything, and became this like kind of not great character. I was hoping with this movie we would get that version, especially when the mask comes off and she actually talks. I was actually excited about that. I was like, "Oh, hey, she's talking this time. Maybe we'll get a similar version of this character now."
Nope.
Nope. They kill her off in the most unceremonious
And
way.
this is dumb. That was just
It
dumb as
pissed me
hell.
off. Like, is the reason because you're actually going to bring in the traditional Taskmaster
We can
now?
only hope because that was, I'm sorry, I
But it
didn't
just
interrupt
feels
you,
like
but
such a waste. It just
that
is
was
such a. I was
lame
perfectly
as
fine if
hell.
they were going to go in that direction and build up the character. But now that we don't even get that, they killed off this character, and it's like, why? Like, I get it. The whole reason was to create the stakes in the movie. They had to kill off one character to go, look, anybody could die. No, not anybody could die. You're killing off the one person who was like super expendable in this group. Like everybody else like had speaking lines in their movies and shows and stuff. So like she was the only one who didn't. She was kind of like, because they had made her so bland
Hmm.
in Black Widow, that of course she would be the easy one to kill off.
They could have built upon that character.
They could have.
I
Absolutely.
really hated that because I was like, you mean to tell me this person can realize what your movements are, mimic your movements. I mean, if you're basing it on Taskmaster from Black Widow, this shit would have never happened because
Yeah.
there's no way she would have had a point blank shot like that. And you mean to tell me she doesn't have a helmet that's bulletproof?
Right?
You don't that didn't make any fucking sense. I was
Yeah.
so pissed when I saw that. I was like, are you fucking shitting me right
Yeah.
now? Luckily there
Yeah.
wasn't a lot of people in the audience because I was actually being the black lady going, are you fucking shitting me? Right now in the audience. I was pissed. I was like,
No, me
really?
too. Me too.
No.
It was unrealized potential there. Like if you're I was here's the thing. I didn't like the direction they went with it, but I was like, okay, this is the reality now. This is how we have it. Let's see what they do with it. And then they like literally wasted all the potentiality of it all. And I'm just like, damn, that's just
Yeah.
worthless. Like I get it.
I will give you that. I that is a nitpicky part with me too, because I was
Yeah.
rather pissed that it happened the way it
That's
happened.
really
I
the
just
only problem I had with the movie. Overall, the rest of the movie was pretty great for me. I think that's the only problem that I had with it. But
yeah, I mean the
yeah,
humor was there, the love for the love hate for each other,
yeah,
I should
yeah,
say.
yeah,
Um, you know, it was nice seeing two nepo babies in this movie. We got to see Wyatt Russell and Lewis Pullman, which I
yes.
always forget that Lewis Pullman is Bill
Bill
Pullman's kid,
Pullman's,
but
yeah.
um,
I'm gonna tell you right now, I like Lewis Pullman bit better than Bill Pullman. So.
I have a huge crush on Lewis Pullman right now.
Really?
That's
He's awesome.
primarily
Like
because
he's
of
been like the
Salem's
movies
Lot.
he's been
I
popping up
liked him in
in,
that.
like Top Gun Maverick, where he also played Bob.
I haven't
Um,
seen Top Gun
oh my
Maverick
God.
yet.
You gotta watch it. It's so good. It's better than the first one.
I
I'm
did
gonna
see
s-
that
I'm
he
gonna s-
asked.
I'm gonna
Oh, go
be the
ahead.
sacrilegious person here and say the Maverick is better than the first movie.
I did hear that he asked to be called something other
He
than Bob
did.
because his character was Bob in
Yeah.
Top
He
Gun.
was like, I just
But
played a Bob. Can I be somebody else? And they like, can I have a different name? And they're like, this is the character's name in the comic book. Sorry.
but I love him and I loved him in Salem's Lot, even though nobody
Oh,
liked
yes,
that
I
HBO.
love Salem's Lot. Don't get me wrong. I like that version. So
Yeah, so I mean, he sold it for me in the El Royale.
yes,
That was such a
yes,
great movie. But yeah, he did a great job in this.
yeah.
I didn't know what to expect
And I
from that
like Wyatt Russell.
performance.
Don't get me wrong. I really enjoy Wyatt Russell as
Oh, I
well.
love him.
Kurt Russell's better, but Wyatt Russell's pretty close. So
Kurt
I'll give.
Russell's better, but there are certain times when he was talking as John Walker, I could hear his father through that voice. It was crazy. Just
Yeah.
certain things that he was saying. But
Have you
yeah,
seen
this
Monarch yet?
I still haven't. I know he plays the younger version. I
Come
know. I'm
on.
getting there. I'm
You
getting
better get there. We got to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. There's not enough hours in the day, man. I'm
Yeah, but it's
trying.
Monarch. Come on. It's Kurt Russell. Dude, it's your
This is true.
boyfriend.
It is my secret boyfriend.
A secret.
Many secret
Not even a
boyfriends.
secret.
It's kind of a secret. He doesn't know that we're dating, so it's kind of a secret. However, before we start getting off track, I will say I loved Bucky in this.
Oh
Oh my
yeah.
God, Sebastian Stan. He is so surly. There is just he's
I
like an
want to
old
see
guy.
more
He's
of him as
done.
part of this franchise. I hope we get more Thunderbolts, being that this has got good word of mouth. I hope it's got some good legs going on it. And I hope we get more of him in this kind of stuff because I would like to see him um out of the shadow of Captain America.
Yeah.
Because he is an interesting character outside of that. So sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you're perfectly fine. I was just gonna say everybody in this worked. Everybody did what they were supposed to do. It flows well together. They've got great comedic timing with each other. It felt, even though we know that they were going to become a team, it just flowed together so well, like
Yeah.
them getting to know each other and going through all of the motions. And like you said, even everybody had something that they were ashamed of or that they were hiding, because at one point we see John talking with oh my gosh, Ghost and Yelena, and he's like, oh yeah, you just got to work hard at your marriage. Dude, your marriage was already over at that point.
Yeah.
But he's still putting on this front like he's still happily married.
Right.
Just Yelena constantly replaying that first assassination that she was privy to over and over and over. And that's what we do as people. We relive our worst moments. I don't know why we don't relive our best moments as much as we do the worst, but those things eat away time and time again. It eats away at you because you think that's the person that you are. Um, I love the fact that they had to work through all of that as a team. And then also seeing them protect the city the way that they did kind of gave you those echoes of the Avengers the first time that they
Yes.
protected the city and worked as a team. Just you said it earlier, it's got that shades of Guardians of the Galaxy,
Yep.
just all of these different types of people who can't stand each other, but end up becoming this super group in a roundabout way. So Alexei was great because he was much
Oh,
needed comic
I
relief. Oh
love
my
David
God.
Harbour. I love pretty much everything he's in, especially this stuff. I can't wait for Violent Night 2. Um I really wish he was playing more Hellboy. But it's just I love David Harbour. He's been great in everything I've seen him in. So especially these movies. So I'm definitely hopeful we'll get more. So yeah, no, I really, really, really like this movie. a lot. I don't think it's it's a renewal of the Marvel brand, blah blah blah. Like, shut up. Marvel's been good the whole time. Sure, they
Marvel's
have ups
been
and
good.
downs.
You just didn't.
They have well,
Everybody
they have
does
ups and
though.
downs all the time. People look back at the first three phases with way too many like rose-colored glasses there.
Hmm.
Like those first three phases were uneven as hell also. Especially the first two. Um they didn't they found their footing along the way, just like they're gonna find their footing. They have to like figure out where they're going from here. They'll figure it out. Um, and so
I
I
think
think
it's one
that
of those things where you and I always say, just go into it with an open mind and stop
yeah,
having so much expectation because you lose out on the fun of it and no pun intended, but you lose out on the marvel of it as well. If you're nitpicking at every little thing or you're going, oh, well, this isn't as good as XYZ. Well, not now. You just watched it. Of course it's not as good. But 5 years from now, people are going to be going on about how great this movie is. Trust
yeah,
me, that's what they do.
yeah.
I think social media and the internet has just ruined everybody's experience of just enjoying
Oh
shit. Like,
yeah,
I don't mean to be that person. I know I sound like an old dinosaur, but before we had the internet, we would just go and watch movies, and then your word of mouth and friends talking about it is what got everybody's asses in the seats. I mean,
yeah,
there's a reason why Ghostbusters sold out so much because everybody was talking about it, and the shit was hilarious as hell.
yeah.
So,
I mean,
we
Ghostbusters and Gremlins opened up on the same fucking day, and both of them succeeded. So, like
yes.
the fact that like that happened in a world like that would rarely happen these days. Two
No,
movies that
man.
are
As
so
soon as
different from
Gremlins
each
came
other.
out, they'd be like, "Oh, the animatronics, they don't look as good as blah blah."
Well,
What
and
the
don't get me
fuck?
wrong, people have been boo-hooing movies from the beginning.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, we've always had critics. That's not a
yeah,
problem, but
but
you know,
I would
it's
argue some critics are the problem.
it's just
But
scathing though, because
yeah,
nobody gets a chance to breathe and actually enjoy anything because they feel like they have to go on the
this
bandwagon with
is
what somebody else said.
well because negativity pushes views and stuff like that. So people are inherently they'll push a negative view on something, even if they don't, even if they did kind of like it, or even if they were just kind of meh about it, they're gonna push a negative viewpoint more
Hmm.
so than a positive one because negativity pushes views. It's a known. It's absolutely known. It pushes the algorithm. The algorithm itself enhances those negative ones more than the positive ones.
Positive. Yeah, I got you.
And and that's the thing. Like I refuse to be negative on the internet. Um, I, I'm barely on there as much these
As it
days on
is,
social
yeah.
media, just because it has become so negative, and I don't have time for that in my life anymore. Like I'd rather just have fun watching things, try to spread positivity when I can. But I'm I wasn't very active on it to begin with. I'm just less so than I
No,
was.
but you're not adding anything
Yeah,
bad to it either. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Nobody has time
Yeah,
for that bullshit. It's like
yeah,
life is too short. I'm going to enjoy the shit while I'm
exactly.
here. And we don't all have to, once again, we don't all have to like the same things. And if you don't like it, keep
Absolutely.
your mouth shut and move on and do some other
Well, if
bullshit
you don't
and let
like
us
it,
enjoy it.
and if you don't like it, that's fine. I've told plenty of people that I don't like certain things or whatever. I've said it here on the podcast, but I
Hmm.
say it's not for me. Like that's my thing is like I don't think that anything is inherently there are some things that are bad, don't get me wrong. There are some things that just come out and they're terrible. But I try to if that's my opinion on it, I try not to say that because it's just I try to say it's not for me because
Hmm.
sometimes that's something that is somebody else's favorite thing ever. And so when um I try not to spread that kind of negativity because of that reason because I don't want to be the guy who's sitting there going, "Oh, well, you know, for an example, I don't care for the original Exorcist. We've already discussed this
We've already had
on
this.
yeah. So, but this is something we've talked about. But this is, I don't care for the original Exorcist. I don't. It's not for me. I get that a lot of people love it, and it's a favorite horror film for a lot of people, and a lot of people put it up on a pedestal of one of the best horror films ever. Great for you, that's true. You know, but it's not for me. And it's the same for The Shining. I know you love The Shining, but yeah, but that's like right here with this kind of discussion is like what I'm saying is like I don't care for The Shining. You love The Shining, and so it's it's one of those things where you and I can have a good conversation
Hmm.
about that and agree to disagree on it and understand that neither one of us is coming from, is going to push our views on either one of us.
Right.
You're never going to convince me that it's, that I'm going to like this movie. I'm never going to convince you that it's a bad movie. Um, because taste is subjective.
Hmm.
And that's ultimately where it has to come down to. I'm not going to say that everybody should go out and watch this movie and love it for what it is and everything like that. I'm just, how I always like to put this is, if it looked good to you in the trailers or it sounds good to you by the description, go watch it.
Right.
Don't listen to other people until you've watched it. I don't read any reviews
Nope.
about anything until I have watched the
Me
movie.
neither.
Then
Because I don't want that.
I will actually go back after I've seen a movie. That's when I will go look at Letterboxd and go check out people's reviews, see what people
Exactly.
didn't like, see what people did like. And then that's the only time I do that. Beyond that, I don't look at reviews, because I don't want to be influenced by people. Not that I ever am, because if something looks interesting to me, I'm still going to watch it. Um, but I like to then find out what people are saying, if it is a negative, and if they have a good point for their negativity. If people are just like, "Oh, comic book movies are so dumb and lame," and I'm like, "Nah, fuck off." Um, you're just one of those people who likes to poo-poo comic book movies. I get it. You're just that kind of person. Shut up. But it's just, I don't know. I don't want to go keep
I
continuing
mean,
on this
but
tangent, but yeah,
that's essentially what I was just saying. I
yeah,
just go in everything with an open mind because I'm gonna
exactly.
go in, and if I like it, I like it, and if I don't, I don't. You'll find out about it on Letterbox whenever I remember to go and write anything there. So it's a fun movie. That's
Yes.
basically what I wanted to say about this movie. It's fun. It's got a lot of heart. It's got a lot of meaning, like most Marvel movies do. It does touch on mental health and how you feel, what you're going through. Even something like Wakanda Forever, we had to deal
Hmm.
with grief and loss and the anger that comes with losing somebody and not being able to do everything you can to save them. And this they explore those themes in a lot of Marvel films, and I think this one was also another one that dealt with the theme of depression and what you can do to help someone that you see is drowning and they need that life preserver, and they do a good job. They do a really good job of making this fun, entertaining, action packed, and also have a really heartfelt message as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree completely. I love, like I said, I love the way that it ends. Like, it's not about stopping the villain by force. They kind of try to do that and then realize it's not working, and they like need to like, they need that new tactic,
It's a
and they
different
need to
approach. Yeah.
bring Bob back from the brink and bring him back from being the void. And they manage to do that. And like that becomes like the whole thing is like, and that's what's great about it. I'm gonna spoil the ending here. There's this moment where they've won, everybody's back. You realize that the void isn't like, he didn't kill everybody just by
Hmm.
turning them into shadows on the ground. It basically sent them to inside their minds, inside their own shame or whatever like that. It was weird. I likened it to, in the comic books, there's this thing called the Dark Force dimension.
Hmm.
Basically it's how Cloak travels through, uh from Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and
It's how he
Dagger.
goes from place to place.
Right.
Other characters use the Dark Force in different ways. But it's basically like kind of like a little pocket dimension that people can go into. That's kind of what I felt like it was like without them explaining it that way, because it's kind of be kind of hard to explain. And So when they all come back and everything, Valentina's on the phone, like, trying to like get a pickup from somebody, so she can get out of there, and they all like come after her to arrest her. She she ducks behind a curtain. They all pop out, and she's having a fucking press
She
conference.
already had
I
everything
was like,
set up.
what the fuck? I was like, she's so fucking genius. Like, I actually really enjoyed, like, number one, I've always liked Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's
Oh
always been
yeah.
great, and especially as this character. Um, and so this is just like, I was so like, that one took me off like
She's such a snake oil salesman. Oh
she
my
so
God.
is. And she's like, this is the team this is the team that stopped it and like saved everybody. You know, this is the new Avengers. And it was like, and then it like did the whole thing, and that's why it was called the Thunderbolts. We got to get into the whole name real quick after that. But she does the whole new Avengers thing, and they actually become the new Avengers at that point.
Right. And Bob.
Yeah, and Bob. Um, but it's so I want to get back into that. So the Thunderbolts becomes this running joke because the Thunderbolts was the name of Yelena's Pee-wee soccer team when
Right.
she was a kid that Alexi helped coach. And so it kept becoming this running gag that they were the Thunderbolts, but they couldn't agree on who was the sponsor of it. It was like one dude or another or whatever. It was just weird. But it was a funny running gag that they kept calling themselves the Thunderbolts based on her Pee-wee soccer team name.
Alexi
and it
was
wasn't
so
anything
happy
else
with
based.
saying it. He kept doing the "We are the Thunderbolts."
Yeah.
And his Russian accent. It was so cute.
But yeah, so
gosh.
I love that that's what the name was, and then they like, you know, they were never officially the Thunderbolts, but then they became the new Avengers, so that was great. And then that leads into the post-credits sequence. At the very end, you got to stay and wait till the very end of the credits, and it's like a long 2.5 minute scene. They said it's the longest post-credit scene that they've done so far. And it's I mean, 2.5 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, but it's quite long. And they're all in their Avengers version of their uniforms. They've all got the little A on their uniform. And
John Walker's shield is still bent from when
still bent. Like you couldn't get a new, because it says it's like, what is it, like 14 months later or something like that?
Yeah.
Like it's more than a year later. And it was weird. And they're all talking about how Sam Wilson, Captain America, has started his own version of the Avengers, and they're suing them for the name rights. And so it's like I was like, okay, this is going to be an interesting thing here in the future, like when when Secret Wars and Doomsday come out. These two Avengers teams, which I mean has precedent in the comic books. There's always been multiple Avengers teams,
right?
But so it's
I was looking forward to them being called the Dark Avengers right then. Like,
I mean, I get why they wouldn't be called the Dark Avengers. I mean, I'm sure that'll be their like, you know, unofficial name for like fans. They'll be the Dark Avengers.
It's kind of funny too, though. Alexi comes in there with his little he came up with the idea to spell it with a Z on the end, like some urban hip hop thing. Yeah. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, this is how we get around the copyright. It's Avengers with a Z.
With a Z. And then we also get to see that we have some new people coming into our universe.
Yeah, they get an alert that there's something happening in space, and then they get the alert says it's an extra dimensional craft, and then they blow it up on the screen through the satellite views or whatever, and they see that it's a cool looking spaceship coming over, and it like rotates, and there's a 4 on the side. It's the Fantastic Four ship coming into our universe.
Dun,
so
dun, dun. I cannot wait.
which goes into all my theories about what's happening in the Fantastic Four movie, but I'm not going to get into that here. We'll have to get into that in a future episode. But yeah, no, it's a great fun ending.
What did you think about Red Guardian in the supermarket trying to get the woman to buy the
that was so funny. It was so
because he was on the box.
Yeah, so dumb but so funny at the same time. I thought that was funny too, because that felt like the scenes should have been swapped. Like,
yeah, I think so
like
too.
That should have been the end credits, and then the end credits should have been the mid credits. But yeah, it was just silly. But it was funny though, the whole Wheaties box thing. Because especially when she like takes it, but then as she goes around the corner, she puts it on yeah.
She didn't want any part of that. She was like, strange like, man, nope. Come up to me talking in the supermarket.
Right. Creep.
But I don't know. Is there anything else that we want to say about the Thunderbolts? with an
I
asterisk on the
don't know. I
side.
really enjoyed it. Like, we didn't talk much about like all the characters. John Walker was great. Ghost was great. It was great seeing all these other characters again, um, coming together. Like, I like John Walker as a character in this universe and everything. Um, just and Ghost having the ability to use her powers without all the problems she was having before,
Oh
and
yes.
it's there's so much you can talk about this movie, but you know I don't want to spoil everything. I mean, if you're listening to this, you should have already watched it. Um, but yeah, no, it's just, yeah, no, I really enjoy it. It's a fun movie. I think it has a lot to say, and it's just, I don't know, it's just so good, so fun. Um, Definitely go watch it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, I hope you liked it too.
Oh, I know there
uh,
was one more thing I wanted to say too,
yes.
and I forgot. How did you like the intro with the Marvel Studio logos?
Yes,
And it kind of gradually the void was kind of taking them out. I thought that was kind of neat.
the thing I liked best about it wasn't even the void aspect of it, but that was cool. Because it darkened it and then like made
Mm-hmm.
the music all slow down to a
Mm-hmm.
stop and everything like that. I was like, okay, that's a cool thing to do. But what I liked about it too was that they kind of went back to the old school way of doing the logo, where it wasn't scenes from the movies, it was scenes from the comic books.
Right. Oh, I
That
love the
was
comic book
like, that
images.
for me was like better, because it was like,
Mm-hmm.
here's all the scenes from like bits and pieces from all the different Marvel comics pertaining to these specific characters.
Mm-hmm.
And so that part was like, for me, that was really enjoyable, because
Yeah, I
being a
thought
big
that was
comic
really
book fan.
cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, um I really had fun with it. So, but yeah, just all over. This is such a good, fun movie. Um, if you haven't seen it and you're weirdly listening to this podcast before you've seen it, go back and watch it. But um, if you have seen it, let us know. What did you like it? If you didn't like it, tell us, good reasons why you didn't like it. Don't just say, "Oh, it sucked." Um, we'd love to hear from you guys. It's something definitely that we don't get enough of. We don't get enough interactive feedback. I would love to hear more about these movies, the podcast itself. Whatever you guys want to talk about, that'd be great. And go to iTunes. Leave me 5 stars if you like the podcast. Spotify too. Wherever you're listening to this, if they've got a rating system, it can only help me. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'd love to get a few more listeners. But yeah, this is a great movie. Please go see it if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, watch it again.
Well, I'm just glad I got
Hopefully,
to go to the theater and talk about it with you,
yeah,
because normally I don't. But I wasn't missing this. I wasn't. I try not to miss Marvel movies if I can,
yeah,
but
yeah. I go to the movies a lot now, but I used to not go as much. And the only movies I would go see that I made sure to go see in the theaters were the Marvel and Star Wars stuff, and like really, really big things. So it's I've seen every Marvel movie in theaters. I haven't missed a single one yet. So the MCU movies. So, but yeah. All right. Well, thank you for coming on again for the main part of the show. Why
yeah, it
don't
was
you
my
let people know
pleasure.
where they can find you online?
So you can find me under Donna underscore the THA underscore dead on Instagram, Blue Sky. I'm not on Discord, and I have my own podcast if you want to listen to it. Hopefully, if you've listened to Robert enough, you should know that I have my own podcast. But
Yeah.
you can always come over there and listen to me. And I am just always by my lonesome, but I kind of like it that way. I'm a loner, Dottie. I'm a rebel.
Yep.
So but yeah, this is fun, and I'm glad that I got to do this one with you.
Yeah,
And
me
like I
too.
said, I'll come back and do any other one that you need me to do. As always.
Always. All right. Sounds great. Thank you again for being on, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on Teepublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.